Hey guys, how's it going? So today we are talking about how to stay on track with your goals during a busy Pride Month. Another little thing I'm going to slip in here, in addition to how to stay on track with your goals, is just how to be safe, because I think some of those things do go hand in hand with some of my tips that I wrote down and that I noticed. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 things that I have personally done myself, and as well as tips and tricks that I've given my clients that I find really help me. Actually, not just during Pride Month, but all year round. I think Pride Month for some of us, especially years that you're going to more events, can be very, amazing and fun, but also overwhelming and chaotic. And I actually have a year. I'll start by telling the story that I plan to tell. So back in 2018, it was my first Pride that I went to, I believe, where I actually went to parties. Yeah, I don't think the year before I went to parties. I think the year before, maybe I didn't go. The year before that was like my first Pride ever, and I just went to the parade. And I never really dabbled in any kind of parties before. Actually, maybe I had gone to a few kind of parties, so I knew what to expect, but I had never been to a Pride party. And by party, I'm referring here to, like, if you're in the local Toronto area, like prison parties or like circa parties, I think we all know. So those are what I'm referring to. And maybe you're doing other events, right? You're going to like drag shows, you're going to all sorts of things. You're meeting up with friends on patios. It can be a lot. And I specifically remember 2018, to get back to my story, I did the most that year. So it was, I guess, one of my first Prides where I went to parties, and I did a bunch of them. I was in a relationship at the time that was not very healthy, and it was very toxic, and he was a huge partier. Our friends were very big partiers, and I think I remember being excited leading up to Pride, being like, oh my God, we're going to do so much. I'm going to have so much fun. And there were a few parties where I believe I did enjoy myself, but there was one party near the end where I think some of my tips will come in handy. And I think while that night did not go very well, I think you know kind of like what I'm referring to. I got sick. In the bigger picture, that week, I remember I was actually tracking my calories, is one of the tips I'm going to share. I was actually tracking my calories and macros, but I actually ended up not eating enough, and I ended up getting really sick. And the whole week, going back to what I was trying to say, the whole week, I think I fell off track when, like I said, I was tracking my calories. I planned to stay on track. So while I did utilize some of my tips here, I didn't do very well, to be honest. I think I still did too much. So let's get into it. So the first tip or trick that I can share with you, that again, I do this all year round, but I find that the more events that you're going to during Pride, or the more events that you have on your schedule, the more this is going to help you. And tip number 1 is to plan your workouts and your life around the events that you're attending. So, and I wrote here in the subtitle that the events are the independent variables in our schedule that we need to plan around. So just like your meetings at work, or just like weddings and anything else, these are dates and times that you cannot change. If you're going to these events, you can't move them. So you might as well put them into your calendar. I guess this is implying that you use a calendar. For those of you who say, I don't use a calendar, I don't know how you function, but assuming that you use a calendar, I would put all of the events that you're going to in your calendar as they are. I would also maybe put, like, I don't know, 2 hours or an hour or whatever before the workout in your calendar, like, book it off, because you're going to be getting ready, or maybe you're going to pre-drink, include that part in your calendar, and then, like, obviously write off the rest of the night. And then consider the next morning how you're going to feel, if you're going to be sleeping in, if you're still going to be partying, whatever. My point is that, again, put all of the events that you're going to in your calendar, and that way, after all the events are in your calendar, and not just Pride events, right? We're talking about Pride events, but put obviously the rest of your life into your calendar, and then what you'll be staring at, what's left, is all of the blank space. And all of the blank space is where you're going to put your workouts. It's where you're going to put your meal prepping, or your meals, your downtime. These are things that are very important, because again, the events are not going to change. So it's up to you to look at the rest of your calendar, the rest of your schedule, the rest of your time, and plug in those workouts, and plug in the meals and the downtime, so that you can stay on track with your goals, and that you can stay healthy during Pride Month. So that is that. Our second tip or trick that I've got for you is actually one that I used in a previous training that I did the other day about what was I talking about? Was it about how to stay on track? I mean, we're always trying to stay on track, right? But it was for another use case. This tip is, for the Pride events, if you're drinking, try to choose lower calorie, lower sugar drinks, The best example is like a vodka soda, right? It's just a shot of vodka and some soda water and some ice, a splash of lime or whatever, and ask for a single shot in a tall glass with extra ice. I will repeat this. Low calorie, low sugar drinks like a vodka soda. So you picture a tall glass, you throw a shot of vodka in there, you fill it with ice to the top, and then you fill it with soda water to the top, and then your splash of lemon or whatever. So this way of drinking is the most lowest calorie, in my opinion, longest sustaining way that you can hold a drink in your hand for as long as you can. And I think that I personally, I like to drink, I like to get drunk, I like to have a great time, whatever. But I think there's this thing that we all don't talk about where when you don't have a drink in your hand anymore, you feel like you're missing something. And you're looking at everyone else who has drinks and you're like, I wish I had a drink. I'm thirsty. I want a drink. It would be fun. And so in my mind, holding a drink in your hand is because when you don't have a drink in your hand, you want another one, and then you're spending money, you're drinking more, whatever. So if you can hold a drink in your hand for longer, it's a taller drink, then you won't have that problem. And so by drinking more drinks that are a single shot in a tall glass with extra ice and just like soda water, but you can have like Diet Pop or whatever, right? Lower calorie options, there's plenty of them. That way you're also hydrating, right? Because the ice is going to melt and the soda water. So this is my advice for someone who wants to drink as much as you can for as long as you can. Always have a drink in your hand, feel hydrated, have a good time, probably even save money, right? So that is my tip. Lower calorie, lower sugar drinks, single shot in a tall glass, plenty of ice. My advice. The third tip that we've got here is to prepare for a wave of emotions during or after Pride. I wrote overwhelm, guilt, regret, and shame. And prepare for these emotions by working on your mindset. Does it sound like, maybe without critically thinking, it sounds like dramatic, but I think that if you really think about it, and if you've been to a Pride before, and Pride parties, if you've been in circles of gay friends, if you've had relationships, if you've had exes, if you've had just social dynamics in the gay community, and you go to Pride parties and you really indulge, I think, in my experience, and I've heard from plenty of other people, that they go through things. There's things that happen. This is not my world right now, but some of you, there's drama, there's overindulging in alcohol or drugs or someone's ex or something, and there's too many parties, right? And there's lots to do, and regardless of how much you work on your mindset and how healthy you eat and take care of yourself, you might still feel a little out of it because you're drinking alcohol and doing drugs, and you're maybe making decisions that you otherwise wouldn't. You're not living as in integrity as much as you usually do day to day, where you're doing your workouts and things like that. You're letting loose, and so a lot of us do experience a wave of overwhelm, guilt, regret, and shame. And to go back to my story about 2018, so, oh my God, to even relive that week, there was a lot that was going on. And like I said, I went to most of the parties, and as the week went on, I felt more unhealthy. I felt more anxious. I felt more, let me just read I felt overwhelmed. I felt guilty. I felt regretful, and I felt shameful because I drank too much. I got sick. I did drugs. My ex left me completely alone. I took an Uber home, and I felt irresponsible. I didn't feel in my body healthy. I felt gross. I felt irresponsible. I had imposter syndrome as a coach. I worried about everything. Then after, remember going to work, and I remember my boss. I was a personal trainer. I remember my boss, who was a few years younger than me, should not have been a manager because he did not know how to manage, including me in this moment where I was actually, to his credit, he did say the right thing in this moment, though I feel like he didn't show a lot of compassion, which was I walked into work the morning after a Pride party on time, ready to train my clients, but I felt not like myself. I felt all these things, overwhelmed, guilt, regret, shame, and my straight personal training manager looked at me, and I was like, I feel so, I don't even remember, and he was like, dude, you have been drinking. I know that you've been going to Pride, which is fine. You're here on time. Thank you. You've been drinking. You've been doing drugs. You need to get that out of your system. Like that's making you feel like fucked up like you do right now. And I stood there at like 10 a.m. You know, alcohol still in my system from like the day before, cocaine still in my system from the day before, worried about the dynamics with all the shit that happened with my ex and my friends. And like, I went to a party yesterday. I go to a party tomorrow. Am I still going? It's a lot. And I'm just letting you know that it can happen, and maybe without even like, it sucks because I really did think that I ate a lot, ate enough, and I thought that I wasn't drinking too much, but the combination of those things, because perhaps I did not do like drinking and drugs together in a while, and so it got the best of me. And so I just wanted to, give you this sort of like warning, or just to prepare you, because especially if this is your first Pride, like it was for me, I just wanted to, if this helps one person, if this saves one person's life from not puking and dying from that, then I've done my job. So on that note, we are going to end this podcast. I'm going to go over the three the tips that I shared again, so that we don't end it on that note. And again, we're talking about how to stay on track with your goals during a busy Pride month. Number one, I talked about putting all of the parties that you're going to and everything in your life in your calendar so that you can attend everything and still stay on track. Number two, choose lower calorie, lower sugar drinks. The best example is like a vodka soda, a single shot in a tall glass with extra ice, and diet like mix, like Diet Coke or whatever. So soda water is going to be the best way that you're going to have the best time, stay on track, save money, all those great things. And always have a drink in your hand. And the last thing is prepare for a wave of emotions that you may or may not feel during and after Pride Month, which is, feelings of overwhelm, all the events and guilt and regret and things that you may or may not have done, just to take care of your mindset by, I guess I didn't talk about this when I was talking about the tip itself, but working on your mindset can be like meditating, just taking time for yourself, taking time to relax. Just don't make sure that you're overpacking your schedule. Make sure that you work on your mindset and stay grounded. I guess that's the main thing, is staying grounded. So that is all. I hope that you got some value from this training. If you are watching this later in my Facebook community or in a Facebook group or wherever I post it, please comment #replay and let me know that you watched or are watching, and let me know your biggest takeaway. Please let me know if this was helpful for you. I guess you're not going to let me know if it wasn't helpful, but it does let me know. It does help me when you guys let me know what things are helpful, because I think all of this is helpful, or some of it, I'm like, is any of this helpful? And when you guys tell me what is helpful, I feel a lot more secure about what I'm producing, and I produce more of it. So that is all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will chat soon.